Take a look at these three people. They're all students and they all have an exam tomorrow. Okay, so there's a person studying, and there's a person playing darts, and there's a person sleeping. Okay, that looks pretty normal. And now to these people, if I told you with no other information, like who do you think is going to do the best in the test? Like most people would pick this guy because he's studying, he's at the desk, he's working hard. But what if I told you that the person sleeping and the person playing darts are actually going to do so much better in the upcoming test? But why? We all have this like perception that studying is just books, desk, read, write, repeat. But it's not. That's why my mum always used to tell me to study. I'd sit at the desk and I'd like get my books out and just read the textbook, keep writing random stuff, because that's what studying is and that's what she wanted to see. I'd sit there for a couple of hours and then that would be my studying. And not only is this extremely tedious, boring and difficult, sometimes you're literally pretending to study and it's not even efficient. Studying at your desk only makes up 20% of your test results as a student, because it's proven that the stuff you do outside of your desk, like as you're moving around and you're not actively studying, that's when most of your knowledge and things come in. But rarely do we focus on that, right? You can imagine for athletes that are going to compete, every single one of them will do their like 3 hours of training a day. But the difference between them, the one that's going to rise above the rest and win, is the one that's going to be having optimized everything else outside of their training. Their recovery, their diet, their sleep, their mood, what they're going to do on like the car, train, etc. It's the same thing for students. I'll teach you how you can integrate studying across your day in all aspects so that you can see results and boost your grades without having to spend hours and hours at your desk. Because I studied, but not in the way you think. I used to study in the way I didn't enjoy, but now I've made it something fun. From what I do on the train and what I do just before sleep so I can boost my knowledge, here's how to study without studying. So for me, as I got older, I didn't have time to like sit at the desk for hours and make that my way of studying because I had so many other things to do. So that just physically wasn't an option for me. So I had to try other ways of studying. And I realized after years and years that the number one thing that all students do that is the most effective study method is immersion. And this needs some backstory and explaining, but bear with me. It sounds really weird and cringe like saying it now. That's kind of like joke in school. We have it like mock our lessons. So what I mean is like when someone farts, they're like, oh man, I can smell it now. It's diffused down the concentration gradient. Or like in PE, they're like, oh, on my days I can feel like the lactic acid buildup. And like people just say like the most random stuff, right? It's like mocking the knowledge because it's correct science, but it's weird saying it in real life, and that's why it's funny. And this sounds really weird and like our humor's messed up, but this is actually unconsciously one of the most powerful study methods. You're making associations and connections in your brain, and you're applying it to real world examples, which is an example of active recall and association. We're like constantly trying to think of like ways to say it, like I don't know, when there's like a big noise when oh yeah, the frequency and like we say the most random stuff. But the fact that we're like recalling multiple times throughout the day in our own way to try and make it funny, we're actually actively recalling these things over and over again. Because if you think about it, like when you just study at the desk and you do the thing, you end up just never ever looking at it again. That's when you end up forgetting the material. Just think about the thing you want to remember and keep thinking about it more throughout the day. It sounds strange, but when you wake up and hear your alarm go off, just ask yourself, oh, what's the frequency that humans cohere? How do sound waves work? If you're trying to learn about like nutrients, as you're eating your breakfast, just ask yourself, oh, what vitamins and micronutrients are in here, and like what do they do for me? And just recall their functions. The more you do it, the easier it becomes. It's proven by science that as you make these like connections in real life, just think about it more throughout the day. You don't forget them. The topics that people don't forget and find the most interesting in school are the ones they see in real life. For me, we used to have this black car, and always in the summer it used to be really hot. And after learning in physics that like the black is the best absorber of radiation and that's why it gets the most hot in summer, I was like, oh yeah, that's true. Because I already had like the perception, I already knew it was true in my brain, but by linking it to science and learning, I'll never forget that because I've just made that connection. So go out of your way to make these links and make questions. Look at the rainbow and just ask yourself, oh damn, why are rainbows like that? Oh, I touched something hot. What are the steps of the reflex art? And try and make it a game to see how much of this you can like take it up to. My friend used to change his Minecraft language to French so he can learn French vocabulary that way. And he literally changed his phone language to French. He'd only listen to French songs, and it was that extreme. But it works. If you want to learn about convection currents and heat transfers, maybe think about that like while you're in the shower. Next time you practice piano, think about sound waves refraction. The next time you're outside, just think about the golden ratio or like photosynthesis as you look at the leaves. And the bonus tip for immersion is to immerse yourself also with other students, because you always see like athletes, they only like go around with other athletes. They like have other athlete buddies that they go to the gym with. They like all like eat together, so they always have the same like goal together, so they all move together. And by immersing yourself with like-minded people, they're just so much more likely to stay on track and meet their goals. And you can do this by joining my online community, Superior Students, for free. And you can ask students questions, you can ask them to keep you accountable, and you can even learn whilst not learning, because you could be looking at this in your free time. So this will easily boost your grades. And the second way to kind of immerse yourself in studying without studying is to utilize apps. I never really liked flashcards. I thought they were funny. I've always have to like carry them physically around and it just seemed like a waste of time. But recently, I've been doing flashcards on public transport and it's changed the way I study. Flashcards while you're moving around on the go, on your phone, are proven to be effective. The reason that flashcards in themselves are effective is because they're a form of active revision. And if you don't know, active revision is revision where you have to actively engage your brain and like think about the thing. In contrast, just rereading notes doesn't require your brain to be switched on, and so that's a form of passive revision. You have to look at the flashcard and then when it says like the definition, you need to recall the term, so you have to think about it. Also, as you're moving around physically while you're on the train or walking, in bro term science, it boosts your brain's capacity and capability for learning because your brain is more active and aware when you move around. It's called optic flow. So doing your flashcards then is even more effective. So even if you just look at your flashcards for 5 minutes each day, that's already doing so much for you. Especially for most apps, they retest your mistakes so that you're actively recalling and getting the information. A way to improve your flashcards and take this to the next level is instead of term and definition, is to put a question and answer on the flashcard. The reason this is more effective is that the question is what will come up in the exam, and just a term and definition, you end up like just rereading over it and not actually engaging your brain more. Whereas a question, a 3-mark question that you put on the flashcard, requires you to think and then recall the answer, and that's the answer that will come up in the exam. And as you're comfortable with the answer and you know more, start to remove words from the definition or answer so that you have more to remember until you only have a couple of words and you can recall the whole answer or definition from that. For me, I've made it a system so that as soon as I open my phone, I have to do 5 flashcards before I go onto any other app. It takes 30 seconds, but consistently doing this has made it so that I can memorize vocab for French, Latin, and it just makes all these subjects a breeze. And lastly, kind of as a bonus tip, just before you go into bed, get a notebook and write down everything you learned, you studied today. Like for me, I always used to like prefer studying in the morning, so I study in the morning, but the problem was that I just never look at it again and I just end up forgetting it. But it's actually proven that during your sleep is when like your memories and your knowledge is made. Viewing it just before you sleep makes it so that it's the last thing that your brain remembers and it will store it into its long-term memory, because your brain always like stores like information straight away in your short term, and by reviewing it, it's what it tells from it to move it to the short to the long term. That's why like when you watch a horror movie before sleep, the last thing that you will keep thinking about, because it's just there in your brain. So just before you sleep, blur everything you studied today, and it's forcing your brain to remember it. That's why when I memorize my French speaking lines, I'd read them once before sleeping every single night. So with these things, you can start to implement these throughout your day and not just in your study sessions, like when you're on your desk doing these things. Because sure, we can optimize those, but it's the other things that count, because these other things outside of on-desk studying actually account for 80% of your results. So immerse yourself, keep thinking about the things you want to remember, utilize apps, and make sure to review the thing you study just before bed. And this will make it so that unconsciously your grades keep improving. And as always, I'll see you next time. Hey, by the way, I've been working on something really big for the past couple of months on how to turn yourself into an academic weapon. So if you want to be the first to hear about that, make sure to sign up for my email list in the description.
Şunu.